Hey there, everybody. You watch TC's World, and I'm Tim. And today I'm here with Nikki. She's in the background there. And we're going to do a long hike. I call it the long hike out to Deep Pond. It starts off at 138 in Voluntown on the Pachaug Trail, heading away from Green Falls, heading east towards Rhode Island. So we start in Connecticut, and this will bring us into Rhode Island. It'll bring us down a bunch of unmarked trails, a route that me and my father found during the pandemic a few years ago. It's a beautiful route to hike, and it's about 5.5 miles long one way, and then you got to hike that 5.5 miles back to get to the road. So this will be probably about an 11-mile hike altogether today. And the Pachaug Trail will bring you to the Pachaug Tippecansett crossover trail, and then we'll start hiking down an unmarked trail that'll go through an old homestead and then past an old dam, along some streams, through some ledges, and then out to Deep Pond, out to the house on Deep Pond. And because this is such a long hike, I think I'm going to do this in 2 parts. So this will be part number 1. This will be the hike out to the old farmstead. And then on part number 2 will be from the farmstead out to Deep Pond itself and to the house on Deep Pond. So just like my normal trail videos, I'll have this in time warp whole trail. Stop and talk at the interesting places that we find. And hope you enjoy. So, the first cool thing you come across on this trail, which is kind of unique, I don't find them a lot out in the woods around here, are these big giant anthills. I have seen them in other places, but there's a lot here. There's a big one here, there's a big anthill here. There's one here, another big anthill. There's one here, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, there's a couple more in the distance. This place is filled with a bunch of big giant ant mounds, which is really cool because you don't see those too often. They're cool to see. I don't think they're, usually you see ants are active and stuff, but it's still too cold. Even though it's April, it's like 40 degrees out here today. Looking forward for when it actually warms up nicely. But yeah, gotta continue down this trail, put it back on time warp, and I think the next interesting thing will be the stream crossing we come across. here's our first stream crossing. This stream crossing always seems to be different every time I come. There was a bridge here one time, and it comes down to this where there's nothing, and then there was a board one time, and now it's back to this, there's nothing. But it's fairly easy to cross. So now we're leaving the Pachaug Trail. We're going to follow this trail now for a little while longer. Pachaug Tippecansett crossover trail. This trail will bring us closer to Beach Pond, where we'll meet up with the, I call it an unmarked trail, but it's actually marked with some white dots. When I find a tree that has a white dot on it, I'll show you. But it's basically an unmarked trail that leads out to an old homestead, which is just a couple foundations left. Some fruit trees out there. There's an old outhouse that's still intact. It's like the only building still standing out there for some reason. But just down from that homestead is an old dam, which is another really cool thing to check out. That'll probably conclude part one when I hit to the dam. And then on the second part, the next part after this video will be the rest of this hike out to the house on Deep Pond. And the house on Deep Pond is very, very cool. So we've just crossed over into Rhode Island. The Tippecansett Pachaug crossover trail changes from blue and red to yellow. So we'll be following the yellow trail now out to a dirt road. And then we follow that dirt road a little ways out to the unmarked trail, which will bring us out to that homestead. This is where we turn off of the marked trails. We're going to follow this dirt road a little ways in an easterly direction, roughly easterly direction. Beach Pond is down that hill off to my left, and up here on this highland there's a lot of pitch pine and a huge amount of dead oak trees from the gypsy moth invasion we had I don't know what, the year or two before the pandemic happened. So all those oak trees are pretty dead now and starting to fall down. So up here is open, sunny, lots of pitch pine to hike through, and just a little ways down this dirt road we'll turn down another dirt road which will bring us out to that homestead. So this is where we leave that dirt road and we walk up another old dirt road that is gated. There's a gate here. Up this trail, there's a short ways away, is the old homestead. It almost looks like the new white markers on the trees have been redone. So this is technically an unmarked trail, but you can follow it by you following these white markers on the tree here. There's one right here I could show you. This trail we're going to be hiking now is marked with these right here, these white blotches on the tree. And you'll see them periodically as you hike this route. And that'll pretty much bring you all the way out to Deep Pond by following those markers. There's a lot of cool stuff to see out here. So put us back on Time Warp. So we were coming up on the old homestead now. This is the beginning of it. First time we discovered this a couple of years ago. Most of these bushes and stuff weren't here. There's a fruit tree. There's a fruit tree right here. And this was mostly all open field, but the Russian olives and the briars and stuff are starting to grow in. So it's not as open as it used to be. Another fruit tree right here. There's an old foundation here, which was wide open first time we found this. Had no bushes around it at all, and there's another fruit tree right next to this spot. But the more interesting stuff is down this way. So here we're coming up to the main area where the houses would have been. People would have lived. Like I said before, the only thing still standing is this outhouse. There's a foundation right next to this outhouse. I'm not sure what it would have been. If this was an old house, what it was. Not too much left of it, just some old ruins here. Yep. Old foundational pieces. There's some chunks of metal, jug of coolant in there, not sure why. But here you go, here's the old outhouse, which is not doing as good as it used to. So starting to really break apart and fall apart. On this side, there's another building over here, another big foundation. If I had to guess, I'd say this is probably the main foundation for the house. Right here, maybe. Standing on an old foundation, old stone foundation. So there's something built here. There's another outbuilding over there, which I'll try to get to real quick and check out. So this looks like it might have been an old well house. There's a well pump here sticking out of it. Interesting. Ah, thorns. Oh yeah, look at that. This is an old well house. Old well sitting here. Interesting. There's still water in there. It's not water I'd want to drink. There's still water in this old well house. The roof is completely caved in on top. Get a little bit better view of the inside of this foundation here. Some real big massive trees have come down recently, but this pretty much concludes what's left of this old homestead that's out here. Next stop before I end part one will be the old dam just a little bit further down the trail, which I would have imagined would be part of this homestead. They would have used it, whether they were farming or growing cattle or whatever they were doing with this originally. Not sure. I'm not sure when this homestead was abandoned, but it's been abandoned for a while. So we made it down to the old dam. It's down here, just down from the old homestead. Standing on it right now, what's left of it. This is the old dam. Still following them white markers. There's one on the tree right in front of us. And this would have been an old farm pond right here in the back. As you can see, it is no longer filled up. The water just kind of freely flows through this dam. And I'm almost certain that this would have been part of the old homestead. Would have been an old farm pond for something. As you can see, the dam was breached here and it's undermined. But so we've gone 2.5 miles so far, so it's about halfway. Perfect point. This is a perfect point to split the videos. And how many elevation?
111 feet. So
we've gained 111 feet over the course of 2.5 miles, which really isn't that much at all. It's been a pretty easy hike so far. Yeah, this first section of trail's been really awesome. This will conclude part one of the hike out to Deep Pond, the long hike out to Deep Pond. So stay tuned for part two.